Hello everyone. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about a very important topic, that is Genome India project. So this Genome India project has been continuously in news. So it is in news for a specific reason. So the reason is that recently the Department of Biotechnology, so this is the nodal department where it has undertaken the Genome India project. So the Department of Biotechnology has announced that the Genome India project had completed. Okay, so the project of Genome India has been completed, and this was announced by Department of Biotechnology. So according to this Genome India project, it is considered as one of the largest genome sequencing project. So it involves sequencing of around 10,000 genomes of India's population. So this is very significant with respect to India's research, and as well as the overall genome sequencing would significantly aid in medicine development and everything. So therefore in this context it has several applications of several important applications. So those applications we will understand in the later part of this lecture. So first, in this lecture we will understand what is this Genome India project. Okay, so what is this Genome India project is exactly, and then we will also understand what is the genome sequencing, what are the advantages of this particular project, for what purpose this project was launched by the Department of Biotechnology, and also we will understand certain challenges with respect to the genome sequencing, particularly the Genome India project, and we will also discuss the way forward and way ahead of this Genome India project. So first, understand what is Genome India project. So in earlier lectures also we have understood or briefly discussed about this Genome India project. Now what is this Genome India project? So this particular project was launched in the year 2020. Okay, so Genome India project was launched in the year 2020. Now, so this project has one particular aim. So the aim of this project is to create a comprehensive catalog of around 10,000 genetic samples, right? So it will create the genetic samples of the Indian population. Okay, so overall 10,000 genetic samples from citizens across India. Okay, so over a period of time, what happens? So through these genetic samples, they will build the reference genome. And this is the overall objective of the Genome India project, so that the government had launched. However, this particular Genome India project also has a vision, right? So the vision of this particular project is that cataloging genetic variations in Indians for 3 years, so 2020 and 2023. Okay, so it would catalog the genetic variations that have been taking place among Indians in last 3 years, or for the period of 3 years. So this is the vision of this particular program. So however, it also has institutional support, right? So institutional support in the sense that the institutions, certain institutions, for example, Indian Institute of Science and Center for Brain Research, so they would provide the support for this particular project. Okay, so this is considered as the institutional support, and Genome India project receives institutional support from Indian Institute of Sciences, Center for Brain Research. Okay, so overall 20 organizations have been partnered with this Genome India project. So ultimately, this is not the initiative of one particular organization, rather multiple organizations have been involved in this Genome India project. Okay, so it is funded by the Department of Biotechnology. So in the beginning of this lecture, I have already told you that it is conducted under the aegis of Department of Biotechnology. So therefore, overall funding for this project has been given by the Department of Biotechnology. Right, so this involves the genome sequencing method, this Genome India project. Okay, so Genome India project involves genome sequencing method. So this genome sequencing method, in the sense that the project is based on next generation NGS platform. Okay, next generation sequencing platform. Okay, now what is next generation sequencing program? Okay, so NGS is next generation sequence, right? So it actually involves fragmenting DNA and or RNA, because the genome material is either DNA or RNA. So therefore it involves fragmenting DNA, RNA into multiple pieces and adding adapters, sequencing the libraries and reassembling them to form the genome sequences. Okay, so this is how the Genome India project would actually be conducted. Now in this context we will understand exactly what it involves in the genome sequencing. So genome is a complete set of genetic instructions, so which are actually present on a organism. For example, if you consider human beings have a DNA as a genome, right? So this is actually the genetic instructions which are present in organisms DNA, right? So there are certain genetic instructions which are present in organisms DNA that is considered as the genome, right? So in genome sequencing process, the sequence of occurrences, okay, so for example, DNA actually looks like a double helix model, and in this double helix model there is DNA base pairs. So these DNA base pairs are coded with adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine. So these are considered as nucleotide bases. Okay, so these are considered as 4 nucleotide bases, and these 4 nucleotide bases are actually coding the double helix structure of the DNA, right? So in genome sequencing, the sequencing is actually involves the sequence of occurrences, right? So human genome is made up of 3 billion, around 3 billion of these genetic letters in the sense that adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine, right? So in this context, the whole genome of an organism cannot be sequenced all at once. So we cannot sequence the genome of the entire organism at once, because the available methods of DNA sequencing can only handle short stretches of DNA at a time. So because of this limitation, because of this existing limitation, we cannot sequence the genome structure of entire organism. Okay, so therefore while genomes are human genomes are made of DNA, so that is deoxyribose nucleic acid. However, if you talk about the viruses, so they also have a viral genome, so they can be made up of either DNA or RNA. So RNA essentially means ribonucleic acid. Now in this context, genome sequencing is a technique that reads and interprets the genetic information found in the DNA and RNA, right? So imagine, for example, in human beings the genome is DNA, right? So this DNA contains the genetic information, and this genetic information inherits from one generation to the other generation, right? So the very same genetic information usually inherits from one generation to the another generation. Now in this genome sequencing, what generally happens, so the technique reads the and interprets the genetic information which is present in the DNA and RNA. So that is the essence of genome sequencing, conducting genome sequencing. Now we will understand the applications of genome sequencing in later part of this lecture. Okay, so what are the advantages of this project, this Genome India project? Okay, so this Genome India project had certain advantages, certain benefits or applications, so that we need to understand. So first and foremost application or the benefit of this Genome India project is it studies the genetic diversity. Okay, so because if you look at India, it considers a diverse genetic makeup. Okay, so India is a diverse nation, and in the context of genetic diversity also, India is a diverse nation, right? So therefore if you look at India, there are over 4,635 anthropologically defined population groups. Okay, so there are different population groups, and each population group has a diverse genetic makeup. Okay, so it results in more and more complexity when we study the genetic information of these different groups. Okay, so therefore when we conduct this Genome India project, so that certainly helps us understand the genetic makeup of these different population groups. Okay, so we will understand the genetic makeup of these different population groups. So next most important benefit or the advantage of this Genome India project is that so it will help us understand certain diseases. Okay, so there are certain genetic diseases, so those diseases inherit from one generation to the another generation. Okay, so this Genome India project will help us understand why those particular diseases have been inheriting from one generation to the another generation and what is the main cause of those diseases. So therefore this will help us in comparing and making contrasts the impact of genetic variations on physical health, as India is the largest genetic lab of the world. So why India is known as largest genetic lab of the world? Because of its huge diversity, because of presence of around 4,635 anthropologically defined population groups. So because of this reason, India is considered as largest genetic lab of the world. Okay, so apart from that, it also helps us provide a lot of data with respect to the genetic information of different population groups. Okay, so it has created a lot of reference genetic database. Okay, so it has created the genetic database, and it can also be used as a biobank that contains blood samples across the country. So this is another important advantage because of the Genome India project. So apart from that, we should also talk about the reference genetic databases as well. Now when we are sequencing this genome material of different organisms, so that would provide the reference genome. Okay, so the completion of sequencing of 10,000 genomes culminates the establishment of a reference. Okay, so I mean it essentially means that when we analyze the genetic information of 10,000 genomes, so it ultimately provides us with a reference genome, right? So for Indians, this is the reference genome material. So therefore Indian human genome, which serves as a foundational template, and it offers insights into the genetic makeup of India's diverse population, right? So it essentially provides a reference genome through the Genome India project and through analyzing the 10,000 genomes, right? So this reference genome also has a lot of applications in the research. And after that, you may have come across the word called precision medicine. Now what is this precision medicine? So precision medicine essentially means that the drugs, vaccines which you have manufactured for a specific disease would be given directly, or that particular drug would be manufactured or designed specifically to address one particular disease. Okay, so that is called as precision medicine. However, with the help of this genome database that we have developed through this Genome India project, so it will help us understand the genetic makeup to develop the targeted treatments. For example, for cancer, okay, so there are malignant tumors that are being developed in the cancer disease. So therefore, precision medicine is a possibility with the genome database that we have because of the Genome India project. Okay, so if you look at the rare diseases, several rare diseases, these rare diseases do not have the medicine also. So therefore, this unique database will help us develop medicines, the precision medicine for several rare diseases that are resulting from genetic anomalies among the individuals. So after that, we should also talk about the drug discovery aspect as well. Okay, because this database also has the potential applications with respect to the development of new diagnostics, new vaccines and new medications, right? So that will ultimately that could ultimately revolutionize the Indian healthcare system. Okay, so because we have introduced the precision medicine and we have also designed new drugs, new vaccines specific to the diseases which earlier considered as rare diseases or those diseases which do not have the medicine. Okay, so we could also produce the mRNA vaccines. Okay, so it is actually based on genetic mutations and identifying the populations with specific resistance or susceptibility to certain medicines, right? So mRNA vaccines can also be produced with this genetic information, and gene therapy advancements can be done. Okay, so because this particular database that is being developed with this Genome India project will have immense potential for understanding the genetic predispositions of different population groups. And we can also understand various diseases like cancer and lung diseases, right? So therefore this particular database will be considered as vital, very important for comprehending various infectious diseases, and that includes the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Okay, so with this Genome India project we could indigenize the vaccine production, indigenize the drug manufacturing, right? Because this project would address the unique genetic challenges. Okay, so unique genetic challenges in the healthcare system, and by deploying Indian solutions using Indian data for the Indian problem. So that essentially means indigenization. Okay, so because we are using Indian database and addressing the Indian problems, Indian healthcare problems, so therefore it ultimately showcases country's commitment to utilizing its diversity for scientific advancements. Okay, so through the Genome India project we have been utilizing our diversity for the scientific advancements, and that could ultimately benefit the India's populations. So however, it is not free from the challenges. It has been facing a lot of challenges. Okay, so what are those challenges? So one such challenge that it has been facing is the privacy issues. Okay, now privacy is most important. It becomes a most important element in the modern life. So whether it is individual privacy or community privacy. So therefore, the issue of disclosing and managing the incidental and secondary findings is one of the key challenge with respect to the Genome India project. So therefore, there should be adequate safeguards which are in place that the privacy issues would be taken care of as part of the Genome India project. Okay, so privacy issues should be taken care by the Genome India project. And apart from that, a huge data set management is often considered as a very complex issue, particularly in India. Because yes, it is important that we need to bring in data driven policy making, evidence based policy making, but the real challenge is how we have been maintaining that huge amounts of data. Okay, so the massive data set that is being generated, so that it amounts to around 8 petabytes. Okay, so this poses a significant challenges with respect to storage, management, retrieval of same data, and even it also poses the data security. Okay, so particularly because of the cyber crimes. So cyber crimes would pose a lot of challenges to the data security of this particular genetic data of Indians. And after that, the genetic discrimination would also be a challenge with this Genome India project, because in some regions or in some ethnic groups may be underrepresented and affecting the project's data set as well. Now, in the sense that genetic discrimination, in the sense that, for example, imagine a certain population group which is considered as a minority, which is having a very less populations. So what if this Genome India project has not taken care of that particular ethnic group, ethnic community? So therefore it could be underrepresented, and therefore it also affects entire project's data set. Okay, so after that we should also talk about the limited representation of the Genome India project, and that is also considered as a major challenge, because The 10,000 genomes is a significant achievement. No doubt that this 10,000 genomes have been sequenced as part of the Genome India project. So it is a very important achievement, but it may not fully capture the immense genetic diversity that is present in India. Please remember, earlier we have discussed that in India there are over 4,600 distinct population groups. Okay, so therefore this Genome India project had not been taken into consideration all these population groups while conducting such a research. So therefore, it creates a problem of underrepresentation, because please remember, India's total population is 1.4 billion people. So therefore, representing all the groups, all the population groups is also very important. So here one fact is that there are around 4,600 distinct groups, and achieving a comprehensive representation is actually considered as a challenging aspect in this. So however, if we move on from the challenges, we should have to discuss about the way forward as well. Now, Genome India project, without a doubt, one of the significant achievement of India's science. Okay, so the Genome India project moves forward the impact on healthcare, genetics and scientific research, poised to become a transformative, radical impact it would have on different fields. So therefore, it could usher in a new era of understanding and utilizing the genetic diversity within a country, so that could address various challenges, various problems within India. For example, it could have a revolutionary and transformatory applications in the healthcare. Okay, so for precision medicine, manufacturing vaccines and designing specific medicine, targeted medicines, and even biofuels. Okay, so after that, the findings of the project should not remain confined to the academia. Okay, so the research has been conducted as part of the Genome India project, and the results or the findings of this particular project should not be confined, should not be limited to the academia. So rather, we have to involve collaborations with scientists, students, technology companies, ethicists and social scientists, and even the pharma companies. So therefore, we can best use the findings of this Genome India project, and that could ultimately benefit a diverse country like India, where we could come up with appropriate solutions for different problems, especially the genetic problems. Okay, so however, going ahead, we need to look into the safety and security, ethical concerns and regulatory challenges would have to be taken care of with respect to this Genome India project, and privacy is also another issue that should also be taken care of whenever we're talking about this Genome India project. Okay, so that's all about the Genome India project. I hope you have understood or you have got decent enough knowledge from this lecture. Thank you.